I call to order this work session of the Knox County Commission for Monday, August 21st, 2023. Seated to my right is Vice Chairwoman Terry Hill and Law Director Moyers. Seated to my left is Ms. Kim Ellis and Ms. Haley Evans with the Knox County Clerk's Office. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Lundy.
Here.
Commissioner Darrett.
Here.
Commissioner Oster. Here. Commissioner Ward. Commissioner Spoonmaker. Here. Commissioner Hill.
Here.
Commissioner Lee. Here. Commissioner Beeler.
Here.
Commissioner Daly. Here. Commissioner Jay. Here. Commissioner Frazier.
Present.
We have 10 members present.
We do have a quorum. I will look to Commissioner Frazier to lead us in tonight's pledge.
Please stand if you're able with the proper salute for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Frazier. Commissioners, our agenda for this evening will be as follows. There are a few additions. Items 4, 49, and 50 are our additions. 2 deferrals, item number 1 and item number 38 are being deferred to September. 1 withdrawal, item number 41. And our non-consent items are 2, 3, 5 through 7, 40, 42, and 49 through 51. I'll repeat, non-consent items are 2, 3, 5 through 7, 40, 42, 49 through 51. Are there any other amendments to the agenda? Seeing none, is there a motion to set the agenda?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Jay with a second by Commissioner Frazier to set our agenda. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Our agenda is set. Madam Clerk, will you read us the first item?
It's Resolution R-23-8-102, honoring the Knox County Criminal Court Clerk's Office for receiving the Innovator Award for the International Association of Government Officials for its driver's license reinstatement program.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve, or motion to move forward.
Motion to move forward, no recommendation by Commissioner Frazier, with a second by Commissioner Oster. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Madam Clerk?
It's Resolution 103, honoring Knox County Schools for receiving the 2023 Secretary of Defense Employer Support Freedom Award, the highest U.S. government honor to employers for support of National Guard and Reserve employees.
Is there a
Motion to move forward with no recommendation.
motion to move forward with no recommendation by Commissioner Frazier with a second by Commissioner Oster. Commissioner Lee, your light's on?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to join in that motion.
You want to be added to
Yes.
the resolution?
Yes.
Okay. Would anyone else be?
I would.
Full commission?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, motion on the floor is to move forward with no recommendation. Seeing no other lights, all in favor say aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Madam Clerk, next item, please.
Presentation by Knox County Emergency Management Agency Director Colin Ickes to brief the Commission on recent emergency response efforts following the severe weather incident.
Good afternoon, Mr. Ickes. Thank you for
Good
being
evening.
here.
Thank you. Commission, I appreciate the invitation to be here tonight. My name is Colin Ickes. I'm the director of the Knox County Emergency Management Agency. As you know, on the afternoon of Monday, August 7th, a strong line of thunderstorms moved into Knox County, traveling from west to east. 2 days prior to the storms, on Saturday the 5th, we began to receive briefings from our local office of the National Weather Service about the forecasted storms that would impact our community on Sunday and Monday. Between Saturday morning and when the storms impacted us on Monday, we had shared 6 weather briefings with our local emergency response agencies and other partners. At 11:20 a.m. on Monday the 7th, the National Weather Service issued a tornado watch for Knox County. Between 12:42 and 2:39, the Weather Service issued 7 severe thunderstorm warnings for various portions of Knox County. Early in the afternoon, emergency management staff were monitoring the large numbers of emergency calls that our response agencies were receiving. We activated our Emergency Operations Center, and at 2:11 p.m., we had our first EOC conference call with response agencies to discuss the situation and make sure that first responders agencies had the resources that they needed. Around 2:45 p.m., Knox County Sheriff's Office staff let me know that they suspected that a tornado had occurred. The next day, we would receive confirmation from the National Weather Service that an EF2 tornado had occurred with an estimated peak wind of 130 miles per hour, a path length of 3.8 miles, and a path width of 200 yards. The tornado started in the area of Yarnell Road and dissipated at the intersection of Bob Gray Road and Middlebrook Pike. Throughout the evening of the storms, the EOC continued to serve as the central point of information sharing, coordination, and support for the response, with regular meetings and frequent calls with responders and supporting partners. We, in collaboration with our partners, addressed issues and shared information including reports and locations of damage caused by the storms, reports of trees and power lines down, locations where traffic signals were down, coordination of requests for assistance clearing blocked roads, coordination of the deployment of traffic signs and barriers, coordination of the response to reports of trees on homes with people trapped, and staging areas for first responders. Also, utility status, restoration priorities, and outages at critical infrastructure, including healthcare facilities and crucial radio communication sites. Thankfully, as far as injuries were concerned, we're aware of 1 emergency transport by ambulance from a car accident that could have been caused by the storms, and 2 or 3 non-emergency transports by ambulance for injuries that may have been related to the storms. Our initial focus and concern was on emergency response and life safety issues. However, that quickly grew to include addressing immediate disaster recovery needs. By 3:30 p.m., we knew that there were a considerable number of people displaced from their homes, and we were discussing shelter locations with the Red Cross. This was a challenge because schools that sometimes serve as shelters were preparing for classes to start the next day, and the first several choices of shelter locations were without power. Ultimately, the Red Cross established a shelter at First Baptist downtown, and Knoxville Area Transit provided buses to take people to the shelter. 7 people stayed at the shelter the first night. Tuesday afternoon, the shelter was relocated to Beaver Ridge United Methodist Church, which is closer to the affected area. And Thursday morning, the shelter closed since people were no longer staying in it. The morning of Tuesday the 8th, at 8 a.m., emergency management staff began training personnel from emergency response agencies and public works in damage assessment. By Tuesday mid-morning, the damage assessment teams were out in the affected areas gathering data and categorizing damaged buildings according to FEMA criteria. Damage assessment operations continued through Wednesday. At current count, we've identified 4 destroyed homes and 77 homes and buildings with major damage. We're estimating the total damage to buildings at roughly $53.7 million, which does not include damage to other property or belonging. Last week, we submitted our damage assessment data to the Tennessee Emergency Management Agency. Tomorrow morning, we will begin the joint preliminary damage assessment with FEMA. In the joint PDA, FEMA will verify the information that we've reported to them, and they will then use this information to determine our eligibility for disaster declarations and the federal aid that comes with that. There are several types of disaster declaration. To receive the reimbursement of disaster-related public sector costs, that's local government and utility costs, Knox County must have disaster-related costs of $2.1 million, and the state as a whole must have total costs of $12.2 million. So far, we've documented $5.8 million in local government and utility costs. That's well above our $2.1 million threshold. And we don't know where we stand against the state threshold of $12.2 million, but TEMA tells me that it'll be close. With that declaration, FEMA would reimburse 75% of eligible disaster costs, and the state traditionally covers 12.5% leaving a local 12.5% cost share. We're hopeful that we'll also receive a disaster declaration from the Small Business Administration. That SBA declaration will make low-interest loans available to businesses, homeowners, renters, and nonprofits to help them recover from disaster. Unlike the declaration that provides government and utility reimbursement, the SBA thresholds are not clear-cut dollar amounts, and we don't know how close we are to receiving that. We've been working closely with our local voluntary organizations active in disaster group. VOAD is an umbrella organization made up of numerous volunteer, nonprofit, and faith-based organizations that serve the community during and after disasters. They serve a crucial role in disaster relief and recovery. Some of the members of our local VOAD organization include the Red Cross, Southern Baptist Disaster Relief, United Methodist Committee on Relief, Seventh-day Adventist LDS Church, Team Rubicon, Remote Area Medical, and Operation Barbecue Relief. The VOAD chair was on our EOC calls from the start, and some VOAD organizations were already offering their services before the storms had even left the area. The Red Cross, in addition to operating a shelter following the tornado, opened an intake center at the local Red Cross chapter. They've distributed cleanup kits and done mobile outreach, going to affected homes to meet with clients and open cases. The Red Cross has assisted all their clients with community referrals and provided financial assistance to those that qualify. Team Rubicon has deployed numerous chainsaw and debris clearing teams and done roofing tarping. The Southern Baptist Conference and Lutherans are providing meals to Team Rubicon volunteers and providing other services themselves, and VOAD leadership is providing coordination of service requests. People who need shelter or food or have other urgent critical relief needs should contact the Red Cross at 1-800-RED-CROSS. I ask for your help in spreading the word about the Crisis Cleanup Hotline. The phone number is 865-351-0552. Crisis Cleanup can help our community members that need assistance connect with the volunteer organizations that want to help them. They can receive help with things like tree removal, roof tarping, or removal of damaged drywall or flooring. The Crisis Cleanup Hotline remains open through Friday to receive requests. At last check this afternoon, Crisis Cleanup had received 237 requests for assistance. A few of those are outside Knox County. Of those, 55 requests have been claimed, meaning that a relief organization has put that one on their to-do list, and of those, 44% have been marked as completed so far. This is also a good time to remind people to sign up for Knox County Alerts. When you sign up for Knox County Alerts, you can choose to get alerted by text, email, or voice phone call. You can also choose the locations that you would like to receive alerts for, such as your home address or work address. The system will automatically relay warnings from the National Weather Service for things like tornado warnings or severe thunderstorm warnings, and it can also be used by 911 to send warning message for other types of emergencies. You can sign up for the system by going to www.knoxcounty.org and clicking on Countywide Alerting at the bottom left corner of the screen. I'm proud of our emergency management team, and I'm grateful for all the work of our first responders and our public works teams. We've received some good feedback, and I'd like to share just a little bit of that. I heard compliments and kudos for the Carnes Fire Department for their response to level crossing apartments, which had the single most concentrated impact from the tornado, where 11 buildings were damaged and 216 residents were displaced. Rural Metro handled a very large number of calls in a very short period of time. We appreciate the response of the Knox County Sheriff's Office, who called in staff and stepped up the presence of law enforcement personnel to alleviate the concerns we heard expressed from displaced people about the security of their property. I'd also like to thank the Knox County Engineering Public Works teams that worked tirelessly for long hours under difficult conditions to clear the road and create access for emergency responders. Also, Knox County Rescue, who stepped in with additional resources to help meet that need. Lastly, but perhaps most importantly, I'd like to ask for thoughts and prayers for our community members that have been impacted. Although I'm grateful that no one was killed and there were few injuries, some folks' homes were severely damaged. Some people lost everything or nearly everything, and it will be a challenge and a real struggle for a long time for them to get back on their feet. If anyone would like to help, I'd encourage them to donate to the American Red Cross and to Team Rubicon, as I've done, or to the trusted disaster relief organization of their choice. Thank you, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Commissioner Jay, your light's on.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for all of your hard work. The team at the Emergency
management department and everyone that's in the emergency services that you help coordinate. It is one of the great resources of our county. It's one of the elements of public safety that most people don't know about or never have any engagement with, and don't know it even exists until you need it. And it's so crucial. I remember 4 or 5 years ago, I took a tour with you and sort of saw the guts of the operation, and it's only gotten better. So kudos to you and your team, and thank you for the excellent work. When you talked about the FEMA, this is not the first time that Knox County is engaged with a FEMA program. Could you help us better understand and the public understand the timeline? Because although there are potential resources, it is not a hasty process.
It is certainly not. Thank you for bringing that up. So, so our first meeting with FEMA, like I said, is tomorrow, where we'll be reviewing with them our data. They'll be verifying what we're telling them. And then it will usually be a couple of weeks after that when we find out if we have, in fact, received a disaster declaration and the public aid that comes with that. Then that opens the door to then apply for disaster assistance. That's a pretty lengthy process for the reimbursement of public sector costs. That, frankly, it's a lot of paperwork for the county. Also looking at the city, the town of Farragut, Knoxville, KUB, LCUB, West Knox Utilities are all potential applicants that could be in line for reimbursement. But frankly, the process takes years for ultimately a check to show up. So it's not a speedy process. And also when it comes to help for our community members, that is also not a speedy process. We know that frankly we didn't have, I suppose we can be thankful we didn't see the level of destruction and devastation that would make us eligible for individual assistance FEMA grants. Usually that's what everyone wants, the grants and the free money, but we didn't have that level of destruction. So we're hoping that we can get a Small Business Administration disaster declaration, which will, again, in maybe a month or two time, the application window may open for low interest loans that can help community members get back on their feet.
So when it comes to individual homeowners and citizens of Knox County, how do you direct them? Are you recommending that if they can fix their homes or fix the issues related to the storm and then keep documentation, or don't fix them and wait and see if something happened? Obviously, their means may depend upon what they can and can't do and personal insurance. But how would you direct the sort of private homeowner that's trying to figure out which way to go? Sure,
we'd encourage everyone to do everything they can to fix their own damage and not wait on any potential help. Again, if there are emergent needs, if you need shelter or you need food, call the Red Cross. I know we're not talking about, that's not going to fix anyone's home necessarily, but that can help the most urgent life-sustaining type needs. Also, we encourage everyone with needs that can't take care of it themselves to register with Crisis Cleanup. That's not a perfect system, but basically that's a platform that connects community needs with the various volunteer organizations and nonprofits, faith-based organizations that want to help people. And so it's not a guarantee, unfortunately, of service, but by registering with Crisis Cleanup, that puts you on the radar for the different relief organizations that want to assist. And again, to answer your question, no, you don't want anyone to wait. Again, frankly, the best case scenario, and we don't know if this will happen or yet, is SBA low interest loans from the feds that may be able to help some of our community members.
Okay. Thank you, and thank you again for all your hard work, sir.
Commissioner Frazier.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Director Ickes, thank you so much for being here and giving us that report. It's very much a lot of moving parts, and I applaud your efforts because I know what goes into it. I really want to just take this moment, this opportunity to thank a lot of people. So to my colleagues, just bear with me here. Again, all of our emergency response agencies, thank you so much. Again, you're the type of folks that we're so glad and grateful that you're there. We hope that we never have to use you, but you all you responded quickly and were very attentive, and I'm just very grateful. I also want to thank our county engineering and public works. I mean, you just knocked it out of the park. This county is so fortunate to have a department that truly, truly, and deeply cares for its citizens. And Jim Snowden and his team, they just really nailed it. So thank you so much. Our utility providers, they were doing all that they could. I mean, they were really busting their humps to try to get our citizens just power back on. I think it's really difficult when you don't have power for up to 10 days. You really start to see how dependent you are on technology. So that was really tough. All of the partnering organizations that you mentioned, all of our small businesses that stepped up and donated items, things that you don't think about, like toothbrush, deodorant, gift cards for meals, coffee for utility workers and county workers. We just had a ton of small businesses who raised their hand and said, "What can I do?" So I want to thank you all. Our churches, we had lots of churches who did the same thing. And I really want to take a moment to thank my colleagues. I know several of you, got out there, boots on the ground. But I really especially want to thank our District 3 Commissioner, Commissioner Oster. I was so proud to be kind of her wing girl for this week. Her district was hit the hardest. It kind of pours into District 6 a little bit as well. Just tons of boots on the ground, going door to door and checking on constituents, making sure that they had generators for oxygen machines. District 3, you are really well represented. And she really fought for you that week to get you what you needed in such short periods of time. So I want to thank her for caring so deeply about the people that she represents. Also, I want to thank the mayor for approving our push for the debris pickup. That was something that, we were really hammering. Our citizens need more. They need more. They need more. And so that was really great when everyone could come together, and all of you that worked behind the scenes. I know that was a collective effort, and I want to thank you all. Mandy Benedict in Constituent Services, she was fielding massive phone calls every day and directing people. And I know that there was so much that went on behind the scenes, and I want to just express my deep gratitude to you all. Colin, one thing that we talked about on the phone was I had a question about, could we expand our response network? And one thing that I found in helping Commissioner Oster in her district, Commissioner Hill in her district as an at-large commissioner, was that I was very surprised that we didn't have more, especially churches in every district, with some sort of response-ready initiative. And so you and I talked about it a little bit. I talked to Mayor Jacobs. One thing I would like to see us moving forward is maybe partnering with more churches and districts, because when something happens like this, you need large buildings, you need large amount of people to help, and you need a heart for service. Those are our church folks. Those are our community of churches. And so going forward, I would love for you all to help me work with Director Ickes and maybe expand our church network. So every district has 2, 3, maybe even 4 churches who are ready to respond if something like this, God forbid, ever happens again. So thank you again. Thank you for keeping us informed. That's another thing. I would love for commission to receive more information. This was my first time around, being a commissioner, and something like this happened. So I was on the phone, I was calling. I know I was probably driving a lot of people crazy, asking a lot of questions. And we talked about this too, is that we as commission, we tend to be the first line of communication. We're the first call. What do I do? Who do I call? And so going forward, we talked about having that, at hour 0, we get the communication of, this is how we're responding. Here's who's responding. Here's who you call. Here's typically how this works. And so I look forward to that too. And I just thank you very much for what you do.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. And I agree with you, and I appreciate the feedback. We would love to connect if you're familiar with any specific faith organizations. We'd love to connect them with our Red Cross partners to our Red Cross has expressed a willingness, and they're eager to work with those groups and provide some training and look at the potential for congregations that are willing to serve as a shelter. We would love to do that. And also, I appreciate the feedback with information sharing and what I would like to do. And again, we're always looking to improve and fine tune here. I'd like to add commissioners to our weather briefing distribution list. Fairly regularly, we get weather briefings from the National Weather Service about impending potential weather emergencies like this. It could be winter weather when it comes to that. So that lets us be forward leaning. We share that with our emergency response agencies. I'd love to share that with Commission as well. And I appreciate very much your patience with me. But yes, we'll so that's on the front end. On the back end, we'll make it a point to step up the tempo of our information sharing updates. We realize the importance of keeping leadership in the loop. So thank you for the feedback.
Thank you. Commissioner Oster.
Thank you for your hard work. I know we'll try to get through this. Last week was an emotional time, needless to say, for a lot of people in my district. And I mean, you could drive through District 3 and it looked like a war zone. Bob Gray, you couldn't pass. People were standing out in their yards, just shocked. I think Commission, a lot of times we know that it's kind of on the job training, but I think I got more training that week on emergency response and utilities than I thought that I would ever need. I want to echo what Commissioner Frazier said, and I appreciate the kind words. I wasn't expecting to be in that position. I don't think any of us probably are. But when I get a text that a 91-year-old lady is bedridden and she hadn't had her oxygen since the storms hit, and we have to rush to find a generator or get LCUB to send out 2 emergency trucks because we just had a constituent brought home for hospice and I didn't want their family to have to deal with that. So it was an emotional week. Just stand at Level Crossing Apartments and take donations over that Commissioner Frazier was amazing in helping do. They lost their home base, and it was rough. And I don't want to forget anybody that helped, but I have got to give a shout out to Shannon Littleton, who's the GM with LCB. He was a rock star from Monday night till Friday afternoon. We were texting probably every 10 minutes. It goes without saying, Jim Snowden and his staff, they were in a tough predicament because they couldn't get over to get trucks over and get trees out until LCUB could clear it. And Bob Gray took the lines down, the trees down, and they were working as hard as they could until the early morning, and Jim stayed right in contact with me. Mayor Jacobs helped on Tuesday. Stowers brought me a generator for one of my constituents. The sheriff's office sent an officer over to check on her to make sure she was okay. Rural Metro, Karnes Fire Department, Knox County Rescue, the Cleanup Crisis Hotline. A lot of my people have been helped with that. The churches, the small businesses, like I said, everybody was amazing. And we still have, we still got to get all the debris up, which we're working on. And I'm very thankful for that my people don't have to go to the expense of removing that themselves, as insurance companies are prorating your roofs. And, it's just a tough time right now for people to have to be doing that. So I just want to thank the emergency management. I would definitely like the updates on the weather. That would have helped. But District 3 is strong. We're going to pull through. We have pulled through, and it was pretty cool, even in that dire situation of people losing hundreds of dollars of food and medicine that had to be refrigerated and things that we don't really think about. We just kind of take for granted. I mean, I had people that didn't have power until Friday morning. So in the heat, they're going through and no power, and they're working as hard as they can. But, you know, keep your thoughts and prayers. There's still a lot of people that are hurting, displaced, and having a hard time in District 3, but we're strong and we're going to get through it. And I just want to thank everybody that was there to kind of help and have District 3's back.
Thank you, Commissioner Oster. Seeing no other lights, Director Akes, thank you again for being here. Appreciate you and for everything that all the information you provided us this evening.
Thank you.
This brings us to public forum. I have 2 people signed up to speak for our agenda item portion, Ms. Julie Clark and Mr. Hanson Sale. Ms. Clark, if you are here, please approach the podium. State your name and county of residence, and you'll have 5 minutes.
Good evening. My name is Julie Clark, and I live in District 9 at 2516 Bella Vista Lane, Knoxville. Good evening. As you may recall, I appeared before you last month seeking support for an ordinance on short-term rentals in Knox County. A dangerous and disruptive party occurred on July 8th at an Airbnb bordering our property. The property involved approximately 40 or more people at an unauthorized event in a small 2-bedroom home. The address was distributed through Snapchat. Vandalism occurred at the unit, and we feel our safety was also put at risk. The unruly, screaming partygoers parked on and traversed the 700-foot section of our driveway that leads to the property, starting at 11 p.m. until police finally responded at 3 a.m. Partygoers entered our driveway repeatedly looking for the home and shouted profanities at my family when asked to leave. No signage was posted by the property owners directing guests to the unit, even though GPS is known to not function correctly in our rural neighborhood. We were unaware of the Airbnb unit when we searched the site to obtain contact info for the management and found the listing. I contacted Commissioner Daly the following day regarding zoning restrictions and regulations. We found that no rules exist in Knox County codes regarding the units. Commissioner Daly responded quickly to the issue and expressed interest in compiling a strong ordinance with the county. We live in an area of East Knox County close to Sevier County, Seven Islands Park, and much natural beauty and households. We are particularly at risk of having our neighborhood exploited by investors due to being right next to the tourist hub of Sevier County. Knox County must implement protections in the interest of residents, properties, and housing affordability. Shortly following the incident, the listing was removed from the platform by Airbnb after many neighbor complaints. The property owner decided to put the house back on the market immediately for quick sale. Despite the previous issues, it was marketed as a former and potential short-term rental and a so-called paradise. In late July, because we value our right to free speech and protecting our neighborhood safety, we put up a series of lawn signs on the 700-foot section of the private driveway that crosses our property on the way to the unit. The signs detailed our thoughts on short-term rentals in the neighborhood, marked the property lines, and discouraged theft and trespassing. Another neighbor followed up with signs of his own regarding property boundaries. On August 13th, our signs were stolen. Coincidentally, the house started showing that weekend, and drone footage of the property was filmed. We have since replaced the signs and have been asked today by the property manager to remove the signs, and we have refused. We feel bullied in a neighborhood where we usually feel incredibly safe. We built a very modest forever home in our family neighborhood and will do whatever we can to protect the peace and safety of our neighborhood. Our community has been subjected to crime, vandalism, and theft due to those wishing to extract profit from a peaceful family neighborhood. I was raised to believe in the tenacious spirit of folks in East Tennessee and Appalachia. My Navy veteran father was born in East Knox County and raised his siblings here after a family tragedy. Our families have a rich history in East and South Knox County, going back centuries. Our spirit and dedication to keeping our communities tight-knit, safe, beautiful, and just give Knoxville its beauty and charm. Our rural communities are paradise because of the work everyday folks do to make it so, not because of investors. Please keep in mind the needs and safety of communities and taxpayers that make Knoxville a desirable place to live, work, and visit. We will not be told that it is not our business to know about rental units in our communities. When short-term rentals are operated in neighborhoods where the owners are not available to respond to issues, it becomes our business. Enacting regulations on short-term rentals sends a solid message to Knoxville residents that we are valued and heard in the county and by our Knox County officials. Knoxville residents are the primary taxpayers in this area and keep Knoxville running day to day. We urge you to take action on this issue. Our ideal ordinance would include a required permitting process for short-term rentals, business licenses and taxes, notifying nearby and abutting properties of intents to create short-term rentals, and a designated contact to respond promptly to issues. Regulations would also protect property owners, discourage theft and trespassing, and foster community relationships. Please keep Knoxville beautiful and safe and support an ordinance to short-term rentals in Knox County. Thank you. And I was wondering if my husband could share a quick quote from his father. He was a really beloved figure in the community, and we just wanted to share a quick quote from him, if that's okay.
Very quick.
Okay.
And please state your name and county of residence.
My name is Avery Leon Clark, the Force. I just wanted to say this quote from my late father, just to it kind of may give you some insight to how we feel about our land. So it says, "The great horned owls are calling tonight. I am thankful for our home. Our home is wooded, wild, and free, free from the malevolent, free from those who view nature only as a commodity to be plundered and sold." Thank you. That's all.
Thank you. Next on our list is Hanson Sale.
Good afternoon, Hanson Sale, 609 Y Scarborough, Knoxville, Tennessee. I'm here on behalf of East Tennessee Realtors, formerly known as the Knoxville Area Association of Realtors. We, in principle, support Commissioner Daley's resolution to enact some sort of regulations around short-term rentals, particularly to the extent that they set clear, objective, and enforceable standards that allow us to punish bad actors. But at the same time, we also fundamentally oppose anything that would infringe on a property owner's right to use their property in the way that they see fit and in its highest and best use. Short-term rentals are a unique product in that somebody coming to Knoxville, say you're with a group of friends, you want to come to a UT football game and you're choosing between 3 hotel rooms or a house to stay with your friends. It's a unique product that we need, so we do oppose anything that would prohibit short-term rentals in certain areas, owner occupancy requirements, things of that nature, but it's certainly a good idea to have regulations in place so that the bad actors and their bad actions do not come at the expense of good actors. So we are supportive of this resolution and would like to be involved in the process of creating such regulations as we move forward. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. That concludes our public forum for agenda items only. Madam Clerk, next item, please.
Approval of minutes of the previous meeting.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Daley with a second by Commissioner Beeler. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Madam Clerk?
Drives and roads. Consideration of the acceptance of new county roads. Item A is Bell Pond Avenue. Item B is Dalton View Lane. They're both located in Everett Woods, Phase 2B, District 6. Item C is T Olive Lane. Item D is Yellow Jasmine Lane. They're both located in Penrose Forest, District 4. Item E is Dennis Fox Lane, located in Berry Patch Farms, Units 1 and 2, District 7. Item F, Blueberry Patch Lane. Item G, Blackberry Trellis Lane, are located in Berry Patch Farms, Unit 1, District 7. And item H is Judith Fox Lane, located in Berry Patch Farms, Unit 2, District 7.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Jay with a second by Commissioner Lee. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? That motion carries. Madam Clerk?
Line item transfers, total amount of $2,918,662.66.
Motion to move forward without recommendation.
Second.
Motion to move forward with no recommendation by Commissioner Jay with a second by Commissioner Schoonmaker. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Madam Clerk?
Budget amendments, total credit amount of $11,365.61.
Motion to move forward without recommendation.
Second.
Motion to move forward with no recommendation by Commissioner Jay with a second by Commissioner Schoonmaker. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Spread of record travel for the 2023 Annual National Association of Counties, NACO Conference.
Motion to keep going.
Page 7, item number 40, Resolution 803. It's designating, committing, and appropriating funds in the amount of $932.10 from fiscal year 2023 to fiscal year 2024 for various funds and departments. Would you like me to?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Do we need to move forward? I don't think we need to. Motion to approve, sorry.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Jay with a second by Commissioner Frazier. Commissioner Schoonmaker?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Caldwell? You ready?
I'm ready.
I think it's great that you designated funding for the Election Commission to purchase more printers, so hopefully that will work well in March of next year. I see that we're making some great improvements for the Sheriff's Department for $1.5 million, which is great. And let's see, my other question under non-departmental, there's an allocation for the Roan State Foundation. Could you explain what that is?
If you would like, the president's here, and he could come and speak to that if you would want to hear from him instead of me.
Sure.
If you would please state your name for the record.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the Commission. Chris Swaley, President of Roan State Community College. Would you like me to respond, Commissioner, or do you have a specific?
Yeah,
Okay.
if you just
All right.
brief us what the $100,000 expenditure is for.
Absolutely, sir. The critical shortage of healthcare professionals in our state and in our nation has only grown worse, as everyone knows, during the pandemic. And although it is natural that most Knox Countyans don't associate Roan State Community College with Knox County, Roan State is charged by the Tennessee Board of Regents with a very important, limited, and specific charge, and that is to educate and train healthcare workers in Knox and in Blount counties outside our other service area. Knox County is served very well, extraordinarily well, by our sister institution, Dr. Wise, and all the wonderful folks at Pellissippi. But Rome State is charged to provide healthcare professionals in this region, and we have done this for many years. We have provided healthcare providers out of a 16,000 square foot facility on Hayfield Road that sits in the shadow of Jewelry Television. And from that facility, we turn out graduates, some 70% of whom stay here in Knox County and work, but they just aren't enough. We need to graduate more nurses in particular, but also more EMTs, more paramedics, et cetera. So through an allocation, we're very grateful to Governor Lee and the General Assembly of $67.5 million and a donation of land by Covenant Health System. We're going to be building a new health science facility on the campus of Park West Hospital. And from that facility, we're going to be able to more than double the size of our nursing program and expand our EMT, AMT, and paramedic program by more than 33%, as well as add additional programs. This will also be home not only to Rome State's health science programs, but also to the health science programs of TCAT Knoxville. And Nick Hill is here and can address any questions from TCAT. The $100,000, sir, is the part of our quote unquote match when entities within TBR and other public higher ed institutions are granted funds to build. We always have to have skin in the game, and that's very appropriate. So we have been out getting the word out, and Scott Neerman, the executive director of the foundation, if you would consent, Madam Chair, we have a brochure that gives a synopsis of the project that we'll be glad to hand out. This is an ask for the county to support our endeavors to finish this project out, to churn out even more qualified health professionals in Knox County to serve Knox Countyans and all those in the greater Knoxville region.
And is this a one-time expenditure?
Our one-time expenditure to get in the building is between $4.5 and $5 million. So we are out contacting not only our healthcare partners, but all those who might be interested at whatever level they might give to support this project. So we appreciate the generosity of the mayor's recommendation, and we appreciate your generous consideration of it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Just to clarify for Commissioner Schumaker as well, our hope is to do $100,000 a year for the next 5 years to get to a total of $500,000.
Okay, and then don't leave yet.
I'm not going anywhere.
Then I noticed that there's an expenditure for the IAMS facility, and I can assume that's going to be for the quarry that's located in Knox County or under our jurisdiction. Is that
That is correct.
Okay. Okay. Was there anything else that you needed to bring to our attention on this list?
No, I would say that the FY 24 budget amount, which is probably the biggest one on here, of the 1.9 million, that was the designated fund balance that you all approved that was in the budget document. So that's the big amount. So we went ahead and found that money to cover that. And then everything else I think is pretty self-explanatory. You had brought up the ballots on demand. That's I think like half of the printers. We also did a few this year as well. So we did a few during FY 23. You could go ahead and purchase those. And so that's something that we were able to do. And no, I think everything else is pretty self-explanatory unless you all have any questions.
Okay. All right. No, thank you, sir.
Any further discussion for item number 40? Seeing none, the motion on the floor is to approve. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Madam Clerk, next item, please.
Item number 42, Resolution 902, is urging the state of Tennessee to reappropriate the $20 million designated for a pedestrian bridge in Knoxville to help build a long-term care, drug rehabilitation, and mental health hospital in Knox County.
Is there a motion for this item? Motion to move forward with no recommendation? By Commissioner Lee. Is there a second? No second. Going once, going twice. So that resolution will die due to lack of second. Madam Clerk, next item, please.
Item number 49 is Resolution 909. It's respectively requesting the members of the Knox County delegation to the Tennessee General Assembly advocate for expanded mental health care services in Knox County.
Motion? Is there a motion? I will second. Motion to approve by Commissioner Beeler with a second by Durrett. Any discussion on this item? Commissioner Schoonmaker.
Does one of the sponsors want to kind of give us a preview of, or explain what's going on?
Commissioner Beeler?
Sure. Thank you, Madam Chair. The purpose of this really is to try to send a unified message to our state delegation and to the governor based on the discussion that came out of the joint workshop with council a couple of weeks ago. I think as the vice mayor stated that night, and perhaps others did too, there's a laundry list of things we could come up with that we disagree with our partners in the city on, but this is certainly one that we can come together on to ask the state for some much needed funding for mental health services and expansion of mental health services. So this essentially mirrors the one that was before council and with, of course, language change to be specific to this body and to Knox County.
And I echo Commissioner Beeler's remarks. It's exactly what this is doing, is presenting that unified front. Commissioner Jay.
I just have a question for the sponsor. I mean, we've talked about this for years. It's certainly not a new subject. But when does it get to a more specific ask? I mean, it's sort of more help. And Commissioner Williams has come over and said, look at what we've done here, and here. And if it's about a particular facility, at some point that's got to generate into a very specific, we would like this type of facility that's going to cost this much, that will cost this much to run, this much to to continue the operations of, run by this staffing, agency. How does this turn into a tangible? Because we have a tangible substance abuse program that McNabb Center runs on Western Avenue that has, I want to say it's 100 beds roughly, but has a 3.5-year waiting list that is specific for those who don't have insurance but have substance abuse. That's something that could be expanded to 500 beds if we went. But I'm trying to determine when we kind of stop talking about it in a general sense, and how do we narrow it into does that have to come from Commissioner Williams and the mental health, looking at the bigger picture? I know we're working on a program, working on like an environmental scan right now with the health department to determine what we have and what we don't have. But it's a very open-ended question, but that's what I'm trying to figure out. How do we get past just talking about we need more into what do we actually need? I don't know if that can be answered.
Commissioner Jay, I think there's a combination of those things. I think it would need to come from Commissioner Williams in the sense of like a long-term facility, what funding is available state, if there could be a county match or even a city match. At this point, like this is a joint effort, and so that's one of those, this is hopefully to get that door open and get those conversations started, as opposed to what we have seen in the past of, this is what we have already done for your state or for your county, and this is what we're currently doing. But as was presented at the joint workshop, It's not in Knox County. The state-funded beds are not here. And so this is more, in my opinion, to get that door open, to get them talking about it, to know that we're tired of just talking and wanting to move forward, to look at those funding availability, basically.
Thank you, Madam Chair. That certainly makes sense. I do think as we get more sophisticated in the conversation and drive it further, that we have to separate. Sometimes they're all paired together, but oftentimes mental health is not the same as our substance abuse needs.
Correct.
Which is not the same as, and we are adding capacity on a private level. We're adding some capacity in an emergency level. I do hope also that as we move forward with this project with the health department, directly related to our annual mental health report, that we get a sense that the one thing that nobody has been able to do, which I hope this project will do, will be to say, what do we have and what do we not have, and what are the gaps? Because nobody still has yet to be able to say, where are the holes and how do we fill those properly? So I support this resolution and where we're heading, and I hope the commission in a general sense will support the project, the environmental scan that's going to come down the road.
Any further discussion for this item? Motion on the floor is to approve. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Madam Clerk, next item, please.
Item number 50, Resolution 910, is requesting the Knox County Planning Commission to work with Knox County Codes Administration to recommend amendments to the Knox County zoning ordinance to regulate short-term rentals in Knox County.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Daly with a second by Commissioner Frazier. Commissioner Daly?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Julie, for coming. And sorry we had to meet over the phone the way that we met. So, this is something that there was another situation in South Knoxville. It didn't get as far as we had talked to the law department, and we also had talked to codes about. But we do not have a short-term rental. We have a boarding house type ordinance that covers boarding houses, but we don't have an ordinance. The intention is, commission has always sent, if there's a change of an ordinance or a new ordinance, it's sent to planning for review. Planning comes up, research with the codes or law department or whoever. They make the recommendations, it's approved by the planning commissioners, then it's sent back to us for the final approval. So we'll get a final approval on this. Julie's correct. I thought about it, and number one thing is it must be able to be defended by our law department. So if we do come up with a new ordinance, it's got to be defendable. Part of that, I don't know if it's a requirement now, but we need a business license. And that business license, because it is a business. Our Airbnbs is a business. They need to be collecting the sales tax, the hotel motel tax that our hotels are collecting. They need to be collecting that tax. It's not fair. It wouldn't be fair if they're not doing that. This is one of the things that I think is possible is a use on review. If you get a business license, you can go for a use on review. That may fly and it may not fly. But we've all got subdivisions that's been there for 70 years, 50 years, and citizens live there. Then all of a sudden, somebody from out of state buys it to make an Airbnb, and we have this situation. There needs to be some type of action against the violation of any ordinance that we may come up against. You say, and I thought somebody said something about the numbers a minute ago. Well, most Airbnb, I would say 99.9% of the Airbnbs out there are trying to do the things the correct way. But then they rent it to somebody and they get on Snapchat or TikTok or whatever and say, we got a party at this house. And 50 cars show up. Well, if we have a use on review where we know the sheriff's office knows that this is an Airbnb and nobody's gonna come, family's not gonna come in there with 50 cars. So when the sheriff gets the phone call, say, hey, we've got a violation of the ordinance, after the 5th or 10th, 20th car, it's possible. So it needs to be some type of, excuse me, some type of measurements in there. Now, the limit on the occupants, that will be up to planning and codes. A 3-bedroom rancher, to me, should only hold maybe what, 5, 6 people, whatever the normal is. If it's above, if a 3-bedroom rancher and there's 50 people coming to it, that's kind of above the occupancy, I would think of that. So this is what kind of the thoughts that I've had behind this, and I love, Hanson, thank you, wherever you went, for coming. This process is gonna take months. It ain't gonna take weeks, it's gonna take months. So we'll have the realtors, we'll have the neighborhoods, we can have planning, we've got codes. We gotta have the law department, because there's no use going through all this without the law department saying that, yes, we can defend it. So that's why I would ask for a positive vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Daly. Any more discussion? Seeing none, the motion on the floor is to approve. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Madam Clerk, next item, please.
It's item number 51. It's ordinance O-23-7-101. It's amended the Knox County Code, Appendix A, zoning, Article 2, Section 2.20, specific terms, to amend the definition of swimming pool. Ordinance O-90-9-130 adopted September 10th, 1990 as amended on second reading.
Motion to send with no recommendation.
Motion to move forward with no recommendation by Commissioner Daly with a second by Commissioner Beeler. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. I will remind Commission that the public hearing for this ordinance will be next Monday at 4:30, right before our meeting begins. There is no one signed up for our Open Topics Public Forum, which brings us to other business. Madam Clerk?
Item 52, discussion of commission reorganization committee appointments.
Commissioner Schoonmaker, I will let you.
You want me to
lead-
do this?
Well,
Okay. I just had it put on here just so that everybody could be comfortable with what's going to happen on the 1st of September. And I appreciate Drew getting us the paperwork. But I think Commissioner Daly could probably agree with me. Over the years, it's always been very awkward on Commission Reorganization Day because you don't know if Commissioner X wants to be on the Insolvency Board or on the Joint Education Committee or the Rules Committee. So now this gives us all an opportunity to say, hey, I want to be on Rules, I want to be on Legislative Affairs or Insolvency. So with that, Richie's got his light on. I'm sure he's going to say which committees he wants to be part of.
Commissioner Beeler.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Actually, I just wanted for the benefit of the body to verify the date and time of our reorganization.
September 1st at 8 a.m. in the small assembly.
Thank you.
Would anyone like to say any committee placements they are interested in?
I'll start it out. I'd like to continue on in Legislative Affairs.
Okay.
So if someone on the 1st will nominate me, I will be glad to have that. So you
Right.
can pencil me in there.
Okay. Commissioner Lee.
Are we going to go through all of them, or just are we going to start with?
What ones you're interested in?
Oh,
Yeah, just whatever you're interested in. And only these that are on our sheet that Drew compiled for us, because not all of the committees are up for reappointment on reorganization.
How do we tell what's,
On the front.
It's,
On the front,
it's all,
like-
it's just these. It's just these that you have.
okay, I'm interested in the legislative affairs, the insolvency board, and the rules committee.
Okay? Commissioner Jay?
I'm also interested in continuing service on the Legislative Affairs and Rules Committee, as well as I serve as a designee for the Knox Education Foundation, and I'm the current board chair there, and would love whoever's chair to consider keeping me on as the designee for the Knox Education Foundation.
Okay. Commissioner Daly?
Legislative affairs, and I will let someone else do the rules because it will be my last year. Maybe we can get a new one to set on the rules. So
Okay.
just the legislative affairs.
Okay. Commissioner Frazier?
I would love to be on rules again. Joint education, I've really enjoyed that. Insolvency, sure. Yep.
Anyone else?
We got some slots to fill.
Yeah, well, we have some time to think about it as well. Commissioner Daly, I'll take you up on that new one on rules. I'd be interested in serving on that.
Well, the most important part of, if you're going to serve on the committee, be there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if I'm going to serve on the Legislative Affairs Committee, I'm going to be there. So if you want to commit to be on any committee, we need to be there. I need to be there.
Commissioner Oster?
Sounds like rules is a hot one. I wouldn't mind to be on that, but I'm good if it doesn't work. Legislative affairs, I enjoy. I'm on the insolvency board now. I'm happy to stay on that. And joint education, I'm on that. I enjoy that one also. So,
Commissioner Jay?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think it's just important for the whole body to just remember, any commissioner can attend any committee meeting, and any action that is taken inside of a committee meeting still has to come to commission for codification and approval. So even if you're not on there and you happen to listen in or offer things in the meetings, and you didn't get a chance to vote because you're not actually a member of that committee, it's still got to come back here to a vote. So it literally, at some point, every commissioner is pretty much on every committee, or has a rotation, and we all have a voice in what that committee does at some point. So it's really an all skate pretty much all the time.
Thank you. Any more takers for these open spots at the moment? All right. That brings us to our next discussion item.
It's item 53, discussion of August zoning items, numbers 54 through 67.
Let's see. There's a lot of District 7. So is there any, let's see, 54,
Consent.
61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66 are all District 7. Have you heard, do you have anything to offer for any of these?
Just a few comments on 54. I guess I would have asked the zone. There's nobody here to ask those questions to?
No,
No,
this
you're
is
just-
just,
Okay, no.
Okay. Let's see, District 3? Anything to point us to before next week?
actually, I've called the developer because I've looked everywhere and there's actually not a number of what he's looking for. But I've left him a message, haven't heard from him, so I'll keep trying.
Okay. District 8. Item number 56 and 59.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. 56, it is a down zone from RA to Ag along the river in Mascot. I have no issues with it. I've not heard from anyone on it. We're always grateful for down zones to Ag in the 8th District. On the other one, which is out on Millertown Pike, I really don't have any issues with the concept of it or the density. It's in an urban growth area. The only thing I would say, and I do agree with the comments on the staff report, that the southern part of this property, I would like to see it developed in such a way as to conserve the soil on the southern portion of the parcel. If you look at it, the part closer to Rutledge Pike, there needs to be some conservation here. So, but other than that, no issues.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Hill, Commission District 6 for 57, 58, and 67.
Thank you, Madam Chair. On 67, is Jim still back there?
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
I don't know if they're asking
Yeah, Director Snowden, could I just ask you one quick question, please? I'm actually looking at item 67 on zoning, and it's the property located at 6789 Oak Ridge Highway that in the past we've had discussion about if there was appropriate zoning, if there was business permits had been pulled, and there'd been some question about what might or might not be going on that property. And we're not going to talk about that tonight, but I did get your email that you had gone out and looked, and then I saw another email or two. Thank you. And I'm just requesting that you please, if you have a chance between now and next week, maybe a time or two, if any of your folks are out there, to just take a look.
Yeah, Commissioner Hill, and I appreciate this lady bringing me this because I wasn't sure which one we were talking about, but now I know. Yeah, that particular location, we did visit them last week, and we did notice that they had multiple commercial vehicles that were in violation of the
And
zone.
let me tell you, we're not supposed to talk about all that.
Oh, sorry.
That's all right. I'm just asking you to
we have a
be sure
follow-up.
and look before
We have a
next week.
follow-up visit scheduled for next week. End of this week. So I'll have you that information by the time this body meets again.
Thank you. Thank you
Sorry
so
about
much.
that.
Okay. Is that it? No, District 4 has one. Oh, Kyle's gone. Okay. I believe that's it. I do want to let the body know that hopefully by September 28th, we will have new AV in this room. Do fingers crossed, toes crossed, all the things. But that's the goal, is for by that meeting, not necessarily our workshop, but by the 28th of September, is to have our new AV system in place. So, any other announcements? Commissioner Frazier?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a quick, just wanted to quickly say good luck to all of our students and teachers. School's back in session. UT classes start Wednesday. So just good luck to all of our students. We hope you have a great year.
Commissioner Jay?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a reminder, or just a heads up to our commissioners to keep an eye on your email. Drusilla and I sat down and worked through a preliminary calendar for the junior commission program, the second year, and it is right around the corner. And I'm going to send that out to just sort of see, is there any big major conflicts or anything, and kind of there's a few adjustments to the program this year, so just keep an eye on that. I'd love to get some feedback from anybody who would like to participate, or if you see anything that needs to be tweaked, now's the time. It will be here before you know it. Applications will open up again at the beginning of December.
All right. Thank you. And again, reminder that the public hearing is 4:30 next Monday for our ordinance. And 2:30 tomorrow for telecom, followed by the special beer board meeting at 3. In this room? In this room. Small assembly. Small assembly. All right. If there's no further, Commissioner Jay?
Motion to adjourn.
We are adjourned.